Hola, buenas. Espero que estén todos muy bien en casa. Hoy vamos a tener este Q&A con dos directores de dos de los cortometrajes de la competencia internacional de ahora del Black Canvas. Sus nombres son Zachary Epcar y Yotam David. Cada uno presenta su cortometraje. El de Zachary se llama El Cañón y el de Yotam se llama ¿Has visto a ese hombre? Have you seen that man? Pues nada, ya pronto pueden ver los cortometrajes, ahora en Filming Latino y próximamente en salas de cine también. Acabamos de ver los dos trailers de los cortometrajes que vamos a presentar el día de hoy y vamos a hablar un poquito de ellos con los directores, a ver qué nos pueden contar eh, cada uno sobre su proceso de creación de esto. Welcome, Zachary and Yotam.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, so Um, I'm very first of all, congratulations for like your short films. I enjoyed a lot, like both of them. Um, very different one from another. Very special, both of them in very different ways. I think, but at the same time, they have something in common, and they talk about places. Um, and like they show these places I think in Zachary's one that it's Canyon, El Cañón, is in a very kind of abstract way to show a place, with the sounds like, um, and Yotam, yours, have you seen that man? It's very like from an outsider. I felt like it's an outsider seeing all of this village and how it works, or a kid, but like kind of the perspective of a kid. And so I would like you to tell me a little bit about your short films. Um, First, maybe Yotam. Uh, what is like your relationship with the place that you film?
Actually, it was a very strange situation because I arrived to Romania because I won a prize for a residency to shoot a film in this small village. And it was actually only 10 days that I arrived in this place that I've never been to before. I don't speak Romanian. It was the first time that I visited Romania at all. So I had 10 days to shoot a film in this place that I was thrown into just like that. And it was very challenging. We had a very small crew that also did the translation. And I knew that I was invited to this village, so I tried to prepare a script in advance. But when I arrived, I understood that I cannot shoot the script that I prepared. So I had to write everything 2 days before the shoot, and I wrote a new script. So eventually it became a script, a film that talks exactly about this experience of coming as a stranger into a place and trying to decipher the story of this village.
Sorry, I think I'm having some internet issues. Like I didn't hear everything you said. It's cutting.
Do you want me to repeat or?
A little bit of it, please.
So I said
Like,
that I arrived to this place that I didn't know before. Um, I was invited to this residency of 10 days in this village in Romania. And I tried to prepare
mhm.
before and to write a script, even though I never visited Romania. I don't speak Romanian, and it was a very specific small village. But as soon as I arrived, I realized that everything that I planned cannot happen, and I had to rewrite a new script. And the script became the film, which is exactly like you said. It's the story of a child who is trying to understand this place as an outsider and to understand um, what's the story of this place from different perspectives.
Nice.
Better?
And so I heard right now that you I'm sorry, it's like the internet is really failing right now. But I heard that you went to Romania and then you write a script there, like and so you weren't like familiar with the place like all along.
No, not at all. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the people. So, and usually my films are very personal. I shoot my family. I shoot in my own village. So it was a whole new adventure to write this place and to try to say something about the place that I just landed in without being insensitive or so I realized that talking about the experience of the outsider trying to understand is the only perspective that I can speak of.
Okay, yeah, that's really reflecting in your film, I think. I like how it's always outside of the houses, you know, like seen from the window or from like the little space in the door, and you don't get to see everything in. Like sometimes you see some details, but it's like something that you can sneak a little from outside. So it's very
Yeah.
um, reflecting that part, you know. Um, Also, like working with the actors there, they were from that village or
Yeah. Yeah.
places. Okay.
Uh, the idea was to arrive to the village and to work with the people from the village and to make a film with them. But because all the men left to work usually in other places in Europe, the village is mostly old women and children. So I try to write a script that talks about children and these stories of these old women that lived the history of the village, and somehow their oral history is the history of the place. So I try to collect stories and then incorporate them into the film.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. And Zachary, about your short film, I really enjoyed like the how the sound worked in your short film. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Like how is it related? Also, I saw that you made like the whole film by yourself. Um, like just not the music, but all the things. So how was it like working that way? I guess you know your own head, but I don't know. Did you think about all of the sound first, like? Because I kind of feel that you know like you already knew what was going to happen with all of the sound um, before doing the video part, you know, like the filming.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think in some ways how I approach the sound um, is related to working on, you know, the film um, myself throughout the process. So when I'm conceptualizing and thinking about shooting, I'm often thinking about the edit and thinking about sound design. And so I think it does kind of happen simultaneous for me, where if I'm um, imagining an image, it often comes sort of concurrently or simultaneously with the sound, or I'll try and generate visual ideas that would produce sound ideas. For me, the sound design is you know, just as important, if not more important than the image for creating an experience. So yeah, I'm definitely thinking a lot about sound beforehand, and then you know, letting some of that go in the editing process. You know, allowing for surprises or accidents, or you know, moments of you know, more kind of experimentation. So I'm coming up with ideas at kind of at each stage of the process. But you know, ultimately, it'll come down to post production, and you know, hopefully, kind of for myself, who have, you know, spent a year and a half working on this project. You know, post production, editing, doing sound design is also a way for me to kind of re-energize and become reinvigorated about this thing that I've spent so much time with. So sound, you know, can be a huge part of that for, you know, for myself. It's just a way to kind of make the material come to life again.
I think it says it's freezed.
Hmm.
again, but I stopped hearing when you started talking about how you make the film, how you work with yourself, making the film.
Should I talk about that again, or?
That's frustrating.
There's difficulties of the virtual Q&A.
Yeah. Especially that you have the spontaneous answer.
Sure.
Okay, but I heard the first time, the first part of it. So also like the same, almost the same question that I made to your film. Like, have you like lived there for a long time, or?
Yeah, so this was this film was shot in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I moved there for graduate school, and I rented an apartment on the Milwaukee is a very flat city. I found maybe one of the few hills there and rented an apartment on top of the hill, which was overlooking this little kind of insular pocket that people refer to as the Condo Canyon. It was an area that had been, in the last 10 to 15 years, experienced a kind of rapid development and had become this kind of little affluent village that I could sort of look down on from the area that I lived in. And so I mean, I don't think I was there in the city very long before I, started going and kind of I developed maybe a sort of voyeuristic relationship with the area, and so part of coming up with ideas for the film was also how to kind of represent or share in that sort of voyeuristic pleasure, the kind of the kind of views that I was getting as someone who was just kind of walking by. So yeah, I wasn't there for too long before I think I started coming up with ideas, but it was still a certain amount of time before I actually started shooting. So I kind of go there and observe and generate ideas that way.
Not hearing very well with my internet, I guess. Do you hear me clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So for both of you, this question: what was your like I don't know, biggest like deal, like I don't know, something that confronted you in the making of your short films? Like I don't know, the biggest what's how to say it the hardest thing that you had to like to confront for making these short films.
I can say that for me, the whole the whole process of the film was very challenging, but in a way it was also the process of letting go in a way. I mean, I'm very used to carefully planning, writing a script. Usually the images come even before the story, so everything is very carefully planned. And there, I didn't have any control of anything. I mean, even the communication with the actors, I had to go through the crew members. So it was interesting because, I mean, it was really a process of letting go and seeing how, in combination with the ideas that I had that were kind of half spontaneous and chance, and how people reacted or came to set or didn't come to set or didn't react the way I wanted, how to create something out of it. And when I came back to Paris, where I live, I was positive that I don't have a film, actually. I thought it was all over the place, and that even the script that I constructed will not be a film in the end. But then I sat down, I also edited the film, and little by little, it actually, I found a structure that actually worked. But for me, the whole process was a question mark. I didn't think it will work. I thought it was like impossible conditions to create out of. But it was eventually almost, I would say, spiritual to discover that even without control or minimal control, a film can be made. So it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah, I think for me, after a certain amount of time working through the material and editing, specifically the exteriors, I shot the exteriors kind of on location months before I shot any of the interiors. So the editing process was a little bit fragmented, and I think I ran into an impasse at some point as I was working with the materials and feeling like there was a sort of lightness and a buoyancy and almost a kind of cheerfulness to the project that wasn't quite working for me. And so I think part of the difficulty was finding how to kind of dig into the material and find sort of the darkness, the kind of representation of the space that felt more complex, more maybe enigmatic than what was coming together. So it was, the editing process took a long time, and I think some of the difficulty was just continuing to work and rework and massage the material and do some additional writing. The voiceover towards the end was written pretty far into the editing process, and so I really was kind of finding my way through the project as I was editing.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. So you would say that it changed a lot from the main idea to the final result, like it evolved somehow.
Yeah, I think it evolved. I mean, in some sense, it was a process of not exactly working my way towards an initial kind of fixed idea. I mean, I was sort of allowing the project to be more open and more exploratory than that. But maybe a kind of third thing, it wasn't exactly maybe what I initially conceptualized, but I was also working against in some ways or with alongside what the material was doing. And so I think what came out was the product of a kind of evolution, but it was something both different than what I initially conceptualized, and different than what it sort of seemed to be coming at earlier stages.
So also, like I kind of get a feeling that with the Canyon, kind of the it's like the decadence maybe of a place, you know, like it's kind of disappearing or it's going to disappear. It feels even a little bit apocalyptical somehow, in a very neat way, you know. But like with the lifestyles that everybody's taking, or like the thoughts or train of thoughts that everybody's like thinking. What could you tell us about this?
Yeah, I think that's a nice way of putting it. I mean, I think part of the idea that I was thinking through was looking at these spaces, you know, these kind of almost generic, you know, possibly kind of transnational or transhistorical kinds of insular spaces, absorbing more of our cities. You know, they're hard to place, but they do represent a kind of affluence and a kind of protection. You know, a sort of bubble within an urban environment. And so looking at that and thinking about how, you know, the idea of development in this sense is destructive. It is a thing that kind of devours or absorbs or takes over, you know, or clears out. So just thinking about ways of kind of exploring that idea that a space that might sort of attempt to represent these things like a kind of lifestyle qualities of a you know of a kind of aspirational good life, also brings with it these kind of more destructive and possibly apocalyptic implications.
For you, I wanted to ask, Elaine, you hear me? Hi, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Now, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yotam, for you, like, where's like the biggest thing that you learned from the making the film, or even like the result? You know, like now that you see it complete and full.
What? I didn't hear the end of the question.
Like, what do you think it's the I don't know, most important thing that you learned about the making the film? Also, like now that you see it complete, like the whole result of the film, of your short film.
I guess I would say that the biggest thing that I learned was something, I don't know, I can't call it in one way, but something about the relationship of my own point of view as a filmmaker and the exterior reality. I mean, I learned something about this very two-way relationship that us filmmakers, we have to somehow have with the outside world. We can't impose everything. We have to somehow be open to whatever comes, and then also mold it and also make it our own in a way. There's something about the cinematic language in my film that is in a way a continuation of what I did before, the play of light and sounds, but in conditions that were totally out of my control. And so there was this very inspiring synthesis between what I brought and what I was thrown at. So I think, I mean, I guess for my next films, I would be curious to be more open to see, to put myself in these like more dangerous positions and to be challenged. Yeah.
And how long were you there in Romania filming, or like before? Were you a long time there? Like
Only 10 days.
Only 10 days.
I arrived there for 10 days. We were 3 filmmakers, so each one had 3 days with the crew. So eventually I ended up, after 3 days, I understood that the script that I prepared is not relevant anymore. I had 2 more days to write a new script, to cast, to make pre-production, and then 3 days to shoot. So it was very much like, it was very spontaneous. Yeah.
Well, congrats for that. That's a big deal to get a very good short film done like that. I thought that maybe you were there for like, I don't know, a month, like getting to know the people and then to shoot. And
thank you. That's a huge compliment, because I was very, I think because I see my cinema as also political. I felt very responsible to the way I will represent the place. So it's I'm glad to hear that that it feels intimate, that it feels profound, as much as such a spontaneous experience can be profound. But, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're welcome. And I don't know, is there anything that you would like, any of you would like to add up to the conversation, like about your shirts, about?
I would really, actually, everything you said, Zachary, about your film made me really want to see the film and also to see the films together, because a lot of the things that you said resonated. Even the conversation about sound is something that I'm very interested in. So it's a shame we can't be in the same cinema and experience how the 2 films communicate with one another.
Yeah, agreed. No, I mean, I think hearing about your process, and particularly after this film, which felt like such a protracted and you know, time and energy consuming experience. I mean, just to hear how you allowed yourself to work in a kind of radically different way, even from your own process, is it's exciting. It's exciting to hear, you know, filmmakers take on new ways of making. So looking forward to seeing your work, but also, yeah, definitely feeling the loss of the theatrical, shared, communal experience right now.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully we'll be there soon again, sharing all of this. In the meantime, we will for sure enjoy both of your films in the cinema. It would have been great to have you guys there to talk this in person, but like, well, these are the possibilities right now. So I hope soon we can see another of your films here in the festival in Black Canvas. And thank you a lot for sharing all of the about the process of your films and how you feel about them. Thank you so much, and also congrats for your work. Really enjoyed both.
thank you very much.
Thank you.